Hi friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'd love if you'd hit that subscribe button, and I hope that you enjoy me making this delicious tres leches cake. The very first thing you're going to want to do is take out your 5 large eggs and separate the yolks from the whites. The eggs need to be at room temperature or you will ruin your cake batter. I just crack my egg and I go back and forth to get the whites separated from the yolks. If your yolk breaks, don't worry about it. It's fine. You can even scoop it out of the whites if you need to. If you have a little kitchen tool that separates for you, even better. Then just go ahead and set those aside while you get your dry ingredients together. It's going to be 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then actually the sugar needs to be divided, so you'll need 2/3 cup sugar and 1/3 cup sugar. So here you just see me separating those two. Next we are going to be sifting our 1 cup of all-purpose flour, the half a teaspoon of baking powder, and the 1/4 teaspoon salt, and then just go ahead and set that aside. Next, you're just going to be taking your egg yolks as well as your 2/3 cup of sugar. And I'm just using my stand mixer here, but a hand mixer will also work. I don't recommend doing this by hand though, because your hands will be hurting you. And I'm just starting my mixer on low, and I'm gradually moving that to a higher speed. And this is going to start to turn a pale yellow color, and just mix that to start off for just about a minute. After about a minute, I stopped my mixer to use my spatula to scrape the sides of the bowl and to make sure there was no sugar sticking to the bottom of the bowl. Then I continued to mix this for about another minute. After those couple minutes of mixing, you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla and 1/4 cup of milk. And you're going to continue to mix this on a high speed for about 5 to 6 more minutes. Can y'all start to see why you wouldn't want to be mixing this by hand with a whisk? Because that would hurt. At this point you can see it start to become that nice pale yellow color. And so at this point, it should be nice and smooth and not too runny, but also not too thick like a batter. And then it's ready to go. And I moved my mix to another bowl because I don't have another bowl for my stand mixer. So I went ahead and just cleaned out my bowl, and I'm going to be moving on to my egg whites. For this, I'm going to be starting off by putting the egg whites in the mixer bowl. And I'm going to be starting off on a low speed and then moving that up to a high speed for about 3 minutes worth to start off with. Now you can see this starting to become nice and foamy, and I'm going to now mix in 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice and 1/3 cup of sugar. And the lemon juice is going to help stop you from overbeating your egg whites. It's not necessary, but it will help you prevent that. So you're going to mix these two together for another 7 to 8 minutes, or until you get nice soft peaks. And you don't want stiff peaks, so don't overmix it. If your using the lemon juice, this will help to prevent that from happening. So once you have soft peaks, go ahead and just set that aside. Now you are going to be taking the egg yolk mixture and your flour, and you're going to slowly start to mix that flour into that egg yolk mixture in 3 parts. So you want to incorporate the flour into the batter, but make sure not to over mix it and keep it nice and light. You will see me cutting down the middle of the bowl with my spatula and then folding around to fold it over and into it so that you're creating nice light airy strokes. Then just go ahead and continue to add in the rest of your parts of flour one at a time until it's all incorporated, making sure to keep a nice light hand. Next, you will gradually mix in the egg white mixture into the batter mixture, also making sure to keep it nice and light and gently making sure not to overmix. Here, I am also using my spatula to cut down the center of the bowl and wrap around to fold over. You want to keep this nice and fluffy since it's a sponge cake. Patience is the key here to not ruin this cake, but it will all be worth it in the end because this cake is super delicious. You might still see a few foamy white parts, but that's okay, just don't overmix.
Looking for myself, I'm staring at my shadow. Am I gonna be safe in getting through tomorrow? When I throw me down, you could lead me to the side. Choose to raising me up, and when I look aside, she guides me with a sign and light of me. It ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not
I'm going to be making this in my 9x13 baking dish, making sure not to grease the pan so that the batter doesn't pull away from the sides. But if you are making this for someone else and you want to not have it in this baking dish, you can line the bottom of your baking dish with a piece of parchment paper so that you can flip the cake out of the pan when it's done baking. But just go ahead and spread your batter evenly into the baking dish, and then I'm going to go ahead and tap that onto the counter and also use my hands to tap the bottom of the pan to try to get out some of the air bubbles. Sorry for the camera vibrations when hitting the pan on the counter. And next you will just go ahead and bake this cake at 350 degrees for 28 to 35 minutes depending on your oven. My oven only took about 28 minutes.
I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done. I just want me.
Once you take your cake out of the oven, go ahead and take a fork and poke it into the middle of the cake. If it comes out clean, then it's done. As you can also see, when I press the fork on the cake, it springs back nicely, and that's what you want to absorb all the milk. And I'm also just going to be placing that on a cooling rack so it can cool for about 30 to 40 minutes before we add the milk. Once the cake has cooled, you're just going to go ahead and take your fork and poke holes into the entire cake. And if your fork starts to come back with any cake pieces on it, make sure to wipe that off so that you don't continue to poke with cake on it, because you'll start pulling out more of your cake if there's something stuck to it. So just continue to do that until the whole cake has holes. And then I'm also just going to take my cake spatula and I'm going to use it to kind of push or pull the cake from the sides of the pan so that all the milk can get along all those edges as well.
Raising me up, and when I look aside, she guides me with a sign and light of me. It ain't over, it ain't over.
To make the milk mixture, you're going to combine 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, 1 can of evaporated milk, and 1/3 cup of heavy cream, as well as 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then just go ahead and give that all a good mix.
I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done. I just want me to find it.
Now you are going to ladle that milk all over your cake. I pay extra attention to the sides of the cake because the milk will spread to the middle of the cake and you don't want the sides to be too dry.
I will find my way, gotta keep looking. If it's not there, gotta go again. Wish to get over it, 'cause when I look aside, she's always by my side. She guides me with a sign and light of me. It ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done, I just want me to find it. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done, I just want me to find it. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done, I just want me to find it. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done.
I'm covering my cake because I want this to soak up all those milks overnight. So I'm going to let this sit overnight. Now for the whipped cream, I am combining 2 cups of heavy cream and 1/2 cup of sugar into my stand mixer. And I'm starting on a low speed and moving that to a high speed again for about 6 minutes until this becomes nice and thick whipped cream.
Throw me down, you can lead me to the side. You still raising me up, and when I look aside, she guides me with a sign and light of me. It ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done, I just want me to find it.
Next, I'm just placing big dollops of this whipped cream on top of the cake, and I'm going to use my spatula to just go ahead and spread that out evenly to make a nice, good, even layer across the cake.
So why are you moving on? Someone told me that I could find it. I will find my way, gotta keep looking. If it's not there, gotta go again. Wish to get over it, 'cause when I look aside, she's always by my side.
finally, you're just going to be topping that cake with your fruit of choice. I'm just using some strawberries, and I don't have a strawberry huller, so I'm just using my knife to kind of cut out the tops of the strawberries, and then I'm just slicing them down the middle lengthwise, and I'm just going to be placing those on top of my cake. And as you can see here, I didn't decorate my entire cake, and that's because we're gonna have a lot of leftovers of this cake, and I prefer to cut fresh fruit when I'm serving it, so that's why you only see part of that here. But I will show you a complete clip of how the cake does look fully decorated here, as you can see. And this can be topped with other berries, and we also have this with mango, and it was really good. And if you're going to be making this for 4th of July, you could also use some blueberries and strawberries and make the decorations like a flag, and that would be really cute. I really hope you guys enjoyed this cake. It's super delicious, and it's perfect for summertime, and it will not disappoint if you like Tres Leches cake.